I'd hate to spoil it for you.
Yeah, don't spoil it.
Spoiling
I don't want to feel good too soon.
yeah, spoiling a self-development book is very funny.
Spoiler alert, I accepted myself.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Danny Vega, joined today by my good friend, soon to open.
Soon
by
to
the time
be
you're
bad friend.
Yeah, no, you're not gonna be my friend for long. But I'm pretty excited today because I think the last time we've recorded, you've kind of been in a difficult zone. But today you're bright and you're peppery.
Peppery.
Paprika.
I'm going more with like a rocket, an arugula, the peppery undertones. That's what the Brits call arugula.
No.
Yes.
The Brits call arugula rocket?
Yeah, look it up.
That's
Absolutely.
crazy.
Yeah, rocket sandwich.
What are they doing over there?
I mean,
let's put a U in it.
What's all this then? I think every time we record, we have to shit on the British Empire.
Well, they were bad boys back there.
It's actually in my writer that we have to shit.
As an Egyptian, because they took a lot of your shit. You were telling me too.
I was, yeah.
The British Museum is basically a hall of we totally stole this.
Yeah.
Have you been?
To the British Museum? Yes.
Yeah, it's in London. I went there.
It's in Britain.
It's in Britain, and I seen that Rosetta Stone there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Look,
I like
it's
the
great.
rock.
Ella Fitzgerald spoke of the British Museum losing its charm.
Yeah. Is that F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife?
Ella Fitzgerald?
Who is that? Is that the president's wife?
Sweetheart. She's the preeminent jazz singer of all time.
Oh, totally different thing.
Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong.
Oh, okay. No connection to F. Scott.
No.
By the way,
that's
F.
Zelda.
Scott,
That's Zelda.
I think if your name is F. Scott, kind of just sounds like you're pissed off at Scott. Like, that's a lot to put your whole identity. Like, what did Scott do?
Scott Fitzgerald.
Fuck Scott.
Is actually what they started with.
And then he's like, let's dial it back to
F.
Back to F. It's a little bit ambiguous.
Yeah,
some people think I'm like Frank,
exactly.
But Scott will still get the message.
Yeah.
You know, when you went to the British Museum, were you like, oh, this is whack. They took our Egyptian, crown jewels.
Yeah, it was
not the crown jewel. Well, yeah,
they took our crown jewels.
The pharaohs.
First of all, there's nothing like a good old "you'd be nothing without me" moment.
Okay. Oh, you felt that way toward the museum, almost like condescending to it. Yeah, ooh, that's
like
fun.
The British Museum. You'd be nothing without us. You're welcome.
That's the highlight. Obviously, the Egyptian shit is kind of a banger for museums. I never really
kidding
the
me?
Met too.
Yeah,
the Met. You're like, okay, we get it, old American art, but then you see this fucking crazy thing they stole. I don't know if it's like a mini pyramid is fair, but it's like a stone structure. And my favorite part about it is that some MF in the late 1800s, some MF Scott Fitzgerald had carved their name in like a very much like
F. Scott was here. WUZ.
Yeah, like Lord Bartholomew was here 1870, and you're like, man, motherfuckers were still doing this back then even. So this is like not just a modern narcissism Instagram culture. Like people still had the compulsion to be like, I was here. Yeah. FYI.
And what's so awful is that after he wrote his name, he also wrote like just a stencil outline of like a dick.
They always do that. They can't. The human urge to draw a dick on it.
The human urge to draw a dick.
But so you were telling me though, your dad kind of offered you this weird take that he was happy that the Brits had stolen.
I asked my dad. I was like, Dad, are you not angered? Because
he was born in Egypt.
Yeah. I was like, are you not mad that all of like some of the most prized possessions in Egypt, Egyptian history is in the British Museum and not the Egyptian National Museum? And he said, frankly, not really. I think the Brits will take better care of it. And it was like,
oh my God.
Father, we're anti-colonialism in this house.
Right.
In this house, love is love, and we hate the Brits.
Yeah, I've seen your sign.
That's what's
love is love. Water is important.
Immigrants
I don't know what
are welcome here, mostly because only immigrants live here.
Right.
I thought about it, and I was like, oh yeah, he's actually not wrong. Because the last time I went to Egypt, we went to this ancient landmark called the Valley of the Kings, where a lot of the sarcophagi were found before they were removed and put into the museum. And they had
in Egypt.
Okay. Yeah. And they had these gorgeous, like, cobalt blue pigmentations, and you could still see these gorgeous colors 2,000 years later. and there's a velvet rope blocking everything off so that you can't walk in. And my dad slipped the guy a bill, and he just opened the velvet rope and let us walk around. And I was like, wow, we shouldn't be here, but this is cool.
And were you damaging? Was that damaging to the artifacts to walk around like that? Or?
Absolutely. I took flash photography.
you personally.
I took tiny little paint samples for my own little.
Just flaked a little off.
Yeah.
But your dad actually engaged in the corruption.
Yes, my dad understood the system.
So he's kind of like, thank God the Brits took it. People like me are assholes. Like he just fucking.
We're not going to do anything. We're just looking, okay?
Yeah.
What, we're walking some footsteps, not a big deal.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Well, I'm kind of jealous in a way, because I'm Cuban and my parents, they wouldn't want us to go back to Cuba because we could be like.
I'm sorry, it's Cuba?
Cuba Libre, thank you. Wow, correcting me on my own heritage.
It's like when people, like, when I went to Barcelona.
Yeah, oh God, it's so annoying. Yeah, I can't go, I can't go to Cuba, but you got to go to your homeland, to where your blood's from. You
gotta go to Cuba. You gotta go. It's great this time
Cuba.
Of year. That's a callback.
I love the old cars in Cuba.
Yeah, let me tell you about when I went to Cuba.
But were you taken aback? How did it hit you emotionally, to be and see all the Egypt shit?
I mean, it was really cool. It was really cool.
Yeah.
To go in. I went inside the smallest pyramid.
Okay.
You can't do that anymore, to my knowledge.
This sounds like me trying to brag about something like, well, I don't know the biggest, but it is the smallest. Quite small.
I mean, I saw all three of them, but the
Oh, there's only 3 what?
Pyramids.
There's only 3 pyramids this whole time?
The pyramids of Giza?
There's only 3?
There's 3. I mean, there's other different pyramids around there, but the great pyramids of Giza in Egypt, there are 3 of them, and there's a big, medium, and a little one.
I can just
It really is a Goldilocks story if you think about it.
Okay.
The big one was too big, the small one was too small, and that middle one, for all those pharaohs, just right.
Just right. And then
Cleopatra was.
And a lot of the pharaohs were eaten by bears, which is something they try to hide.
Yeah.
No, but well, that's funny to me because I'm like, so there are other pyramids. I can just see some Egyptian like. Ours are great too. Like, I don't know. Pyramids aren't all about size. There's other parts of the pyramid
or
that matter.
height. You hear that? Tepoztlan?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
sure.
In
Mexico. I went and climbed up a big mountain, and at the very top of the mountain in Mexico, Tepoztlan, there's a beautiful pyramid. And I was like, ours are better. Lo siento, pero no siento.
I think that's fair. I think wow, you are spicy today. I think that's fair. No, I think Egyptians won pyramids. I don't think that's contested ground.
Everyone can blame Danny for the coffee he gave me.
It is pretty strong.
It's really good.
Oh, it's good. Okay.
Feel like I'm going to commit a crime after this. I'm so wired.
Hey, that's great. Just
And you have it here. You heard it here first.
She's going to do
this
it,
is
folks.
The confessional video.
She's going to do it. Any other juice you want to report to us?
Juice.
Any other talking points, issues, problems, questions?
Not that I'm aware of, sir.
You got nothing? Well, we actually have some things that I had written down in our conversation. I'd like to go this way with you because I think you're kind of a boss B word. We were having a conversation about this. You were large and in charge, you know what I mean? You're a big shot corporate lawyer. We were talking about the B word.
Uh-huh.
Men aren't called bossy.
Correct.
Women are.
Correct.
And I wanted your take on this. Women are called bossy in the B word, but men aren't.
You wanted my take on the fact that misogyny exists and that certain characteristics, the same characteristic will be interpreted differently based on the gender.
Well, I want your experience on it. Yeah, absolutely. Because you were, right? I mean, you were a boss B.
Yeah,
you were.
I think that.
I mean, you still are.
Yes, I still feel like I experienced that in comedy, even where it's like if you come out the gate too confident, they're like, who does she think she is? And I don't know, there's something unlikable about something that's too confident, overconfident, whereas I don't know.
Okay.
I will say though, a lot of it is like trolls on YouTube and stuff like that. And
just haters, comment haters. But you don't bring that energy so much to comedy, that kind of boss energy. Do you feel like you're getting more into that?
I'm trying to channel it a little bit and shit less on myself.
I think you're growing in leaps and strides.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I need to be reminded once a quarter that you would buy Christie stock.
Oh, yes. I'm huge on this. I would buy all the Christie stock I could possibly afford because I think it's a great investment. But no, we've talked and I've learned a lot too. I used to be a chronic apologizer, you know, and I think, look, if I hurt someone's feelings, I'm always, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. Right. That's not a problem for me to say. But I think people do it compulsively and they're apologizing for shit that nobody could or should want an apology for. And that's about something else. That's not about being a good person or being empathetic. That's something else that's going on. And so I've tried to apologize less.
I can't imagine you like ever apologizing unnecessarily.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I got you fooled. I mean, it has been a couple years, I think, since I've exited.
I would love for like that, like a douchey bro to be like, that's why I stopped apologizing.
Yeah. Before I had apologized like a lot, like once in 2018, couple times in 2012, but now I'm out, bro.
I cheated on my girl and I was like, you know what? I'm tired of apologizing.
I'm out.
She was like, you didn't even apologize. He's like, you know what? And I'm not gonna.
It's a sign of weakness, brother. Like, I'm gonna keep it strong. That's what she wants.
Yeah. I actually have noticed too that if you over apologize, you actually give people an opening to be more angry with you than they otherwise would have.
100%.
Have you not noticed that?
Oh yeah. Well, no, I think it's codependent. I didn't want to go that far, but since we're here, I was thinking like when you apologize, you're almost manipulating because what you're actually saying is like I'm less than you and like I'm here to serve you in a sense. Because it's like if you're apologizing for something like crazy, where it's like, well, why would anybody deserve an apology for that?
I had a miscommunication with a friend recently, and I apologized, and then they apologized, and then I like apologized again for the way that I apologized because I didn't feel like the apology came out the way I intended it. Yeah. And I also wanted to just, cover all my bases and stuff. And then I think they actually got more angry the more I apologized. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to like cut it off because like I apologize for what I said. And then eventually they came around and I realized like, yeah, you got to just say what you mean what you say, let your yes be yes, let your no be no, apologize, and then move forward. And like you give them the opportunity to decide if do you want to move forward, yes or no. If you don't, I'll see you later. But I'm not going to like throw breadcrumbs like Hansel and Gretel with little I'm sorry's and mea culpas every single time we talk.
Yeah, I mean, I've been dropping the what do you need from me. I find that tends to get us to a resolution.
That's good.
Hey, we're living and we're growing. The original self-help bookers, I got a new one, by the way. The Mountain is You. I'm getting into this one.
Is that the same guy who wrote The Courage to be Disliked?
No, but I love The Courage to be Disliked.
Do you know what I love especially about The Courage to be Disliked is reading it in public and then getting what I assume are looks by people who are thinking, I don't think she needs more courage in that department.
Right. She's got enough. She's brave.
Too much.
She's a warrior of hateability.
Yeah. Don't like it.
I think it's a really interesting book. I know the title is probably confusing to many of you.
Yeah. I'm in the middle of it.
I'd hate to spoil it for you.
Yeah, don't spoil it. I don't want to feel good too soon.
Yeah, spoiling a self-development book is very funny. Oh, yeah.
Spoiler alert, I accepted myself.
It was a bestseller in Japan, really interesting, and then was translated to English. People in Japan went crazy for it. But that's one of the principles that he says, and I've chewed on that for quite some time. All problems are interpersonal problems. Yeah. So it's a very interesting frame. Anyway, I recommend it. You recommend it?
I recommend it.
It's super soothing to listen to. There is one criticism.
I don't like I listened to the sample of the audiobook and I was like I am not going to have the patience for this. It's a dialogue between philosopher and youth.
And youth, which is not the best character names I've heard in a book so far.
Yeah, translate. But I like reading it because then I can just insert the least obnoxious voice.
This is the problem with the book, and other people have noted this in the reviews, is that the philosopher is like positioned as the guy who knows what he's talking about, and he's great. Yeah. But then the youth is like the most obnoxious little shit. Yeah. And as the listener or the reader, you identify with the youth because you don't know where the fucking philosopher is going, and then you're like, I wouldn't have said that. Yeah. Why is this kid being a douchebag?
Right. Yeah. I agree, and also no disrespect to the voice actor, but I also didn't appreciate. I don't know. I had my own associations where he was like,
hey,
what if I'm jealous of my friend?
Oh, yeah. No, the youth voice actor is, I mean, he killed it because I feel like they cast the right guy, but it's hard to listen to.
It's hard to listen to. I mean, look, self-development is already about pills that are hard to swallow. We don't need to remove the water by making it really difficult to listen to. So.
And don't take too many pills at once. That gives me anxiety. You ever see someone take like 5 of their multivitamins a day? I'm like, can you just take 1 or 2 at a time?
I love doing that. I actually call it a geriatric party trick. Where I have like my vitamin A, my vitamin B, my multivitamin, my this, my antidepressants, and I have like a handful of vitamins, and I'm like, watch this.
There we go. Whoa, she's doing it. Yeah. Oh my God, and Christie. She just, wow.
And I'm like, wow, this is like an old person opening up all the little flaps on their like vitamin of the week.
Yeah. Just go for the whole week. Grandma, that's 2 months of pills.
Geriatric party trick.
That's great. All right, people, we got one heck of an ep for you today. Our second story of the day. Disclaimer, I am straight, but I think we can bring some empathy regardless because it's kind of about keeping secrets. Second story, AITA for not coming out to my best friend. But first, people, it's AITA for cutting off all communication with my ex-best friend. I, 31F, and my ex-best, 31F, have known each other since kindergarten. First friends, best friends, all throughout K through 12. After high school, we moved to a different state together, got our own place, and joined beauty school. Before moving, she got into a relationship. Her BF flew down 3 months after us without letting me know beforehand and took over the apartment. She then quit beauty school, and I would come home to the both of them smoking heroin in my living room. I kicked them out. Years passed, we stayed in contact. Eventually, she moved back to our home state and married the BF, still on drugs, says she's a functioning addict. Throughout the years, I found the love of my life and was excited to ask her to be my maid of honor. Well, a few days later, after her accepting the role, she disappeared. Stopped responding to my messages, so I tried contacting her husband, concerned. No luck. I messaged her older brother, who says he saw her recently and seemed fine. I was angry she ghosted me during a time I really look forward to sharing my big day with her. I was angry at myself for allowing her to walk all over me when it came to paying bills when we lived together, or how she slept with 2 of my boyfriends and I still forgave her. At a loss, I blocked her. Blocked all of her numbers, messages, relatives. It's been 3 years and sometimes I still see red. But am I truly a forgiving, caring person? But I truly am a forgiving, caring person, and she was my best friend. So, AITA for cutting off all communication.
You had me at heroin.
That was intense. I didn't even know smoking heroin is odd.
I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that.
I thought you were supposed to...
intravenously. Yeah. I think that's even more extreme because it goes right in your blood. You know?
I thought you were supposed to ingest it. Isn't that why there's all those spoons? I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Getting
off to a substantial start. I mean, I think OP, it's you went through quite a lot. I mean, even ignoring the heroin, it's a pretty huge boundary cross to come home and be like, my boyfriend lives here now. You're like, what? Like, you've affected my entire home life. This is like a pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Disrespect.
To say the least.
Huge boundary cross. I think, what's kind of odd to me is then you stay in contact with a person who self-describes as a functioning drug addict. Mm-hmm. And then, OP, you were excited to ask her to be your maid of honor, which I think was... You knew that was probably going to be dicey just in some way. That was going to lead to unpredictability.
Yes. Not saying you should abandon your drug addict friends, but there is a certain amount of distance or bracing oneself that I would think if somebody's a wild card, I'm not going to ask them to be my maid of honor.
It was a risk. I mean, we're not dinging you, but I agree with you. I think that's really well put. A wild card is, well, they're wild, So then she kind of ghosts. OP messages the older brother, and then you were angry with her that she ghosted.
Wait, so who... So she ghosts, she's like...
She ghosts the maid of honor request.
Yeah.
The friend.
And then she's like, now I ghosted her.
Yeah, basically, you could put it that way. So then OP got angry that she ghosted and
here's the thing.
Finally blocked her.
Okay, here's the thing. this implies that at some point between the maid of honor ghosting, or the potential maid of honor ghosting, she came back. She must have come back at some point, and then
the potential maid of honor ghosted. OP messages the older brother.
Yeah.
Said she seemed fine. And then OP got so angry she ghosted me during a time I really look forward to sharing my big day with her.
Yeah.
That they blocked her.
Yeah, they blocked her.
She never came back.
So, I mean, that's basically, this question is like, texting somebody, I'm going to give you the silent treatment. I don't know. It's just sort of like, you already got ghosted. I guess it's cool that you blocked this person, but like, so that you don't hear them and you like shut the door on them.
Yeah.
No, that's not an asshole thing to do. She ghosted you first. It's very, you can't fire me, I quit. Like, it's sort of like, you were already left, my good woman. And that's fine. That's and fair. You're allowed to be like, all right, this person left me high and dry. I'm closing the door. Yeah. She walked out the door. I'm just closing the door.
Ignoring is different than blocking. But yes, I see you.
Agreed.
I see you that this is a little bit energetically of, yeah, you can't fire me. I quit. I feel for OP. Look, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You were in a toxic thing with this person. This person walked all over you by OP's description and slept with 2 of the boyfriends. I mean, this person sucked, brought you no happiness, but you bonded with them and you love them.
Right.
Some part of you
and
loved them.
Old friends are very special.
Old friends are hard to quit.
I have 2 friends from kindergarten still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're on good terms?
Wonderful terms.
Oh, that's great.
One of them.
Are you just rubbing this in OP's face?
Yes, and I know she's listening. No, but I don't think she's an asshole at all. I think it's actually necessary. I'm just pointing to the fact that like you're even less of an asshole because she already walked out the door. You're just closing it. So you don't need to like
Yeah. We got it, Christy. We got it.
Okay. Just reiterating.
I feel like you kind of have a beef with OP. They're our listener, Christy, please.
Oh, right. I thought this was from Reddit.
No, this isn't from Reddit. It's okay.
We love you.
Listen, you're making valid points. No,
I don't have a beef with OP. In fact, I have a...
Well, I feel for them. I think OP knows this. I think they're still coming fully to terms with it. And this can take years. This can take years to come to terms with. I have also cut off a best friend, and it's an ugly thing, man. You bond with someone, you love them. It doesn't really matter how dirty they did you. You are always going to probably have some degree of mixed feelings about them because you fucking love them, you know? You did.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you reach a point where you can't trust someone, which I think ultimately this is what this is made out of.
I applaud them for being like, all right, this person really disappointed me. I'm going to actually not continue to enable me being hurt. I've forgiven them a lot.
Yep.
And before this person comes back, I'm going to close the fucking door before they can walk back in and hurt me again. And I think what's hard, I'm assuming that these are 2 women, right?
Yeah.
Something that I really identify with in this post is that I think I have a higher, I think I've told you this before, I have a higher threshold for women wronging me than men. Like, I will forgive women so many more times and tolerate.
I'm on a fucking tightrope right now.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I've had a lot of friends who will like continually disappoint me and like cancel 4 times in a row, and they'll be like, no worries, you know, and then eventually I'll say something, but like I feel like I give more chances to my female friends and to my male friends.
That doesn't strike me as too
or boyfriends or whatever.
Too wild.
Yeah. Well, I just think and then intensify that if they're old friends as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I stand by it. Old friends are hard to quit, and I understand why you feel bad. I often feel bad for blocking people in my life because, man, I love those motherfuckers. Right. You know, I really did. I love them with my whole heart, and then I'll think like, and there was a lot of good to them too, and I think that's something, you know, you got to come to terms with as well, because I feel like in this polarized world, people like to be like they're the worst person ever, but it's like, no, they weren't. You love them because they are probably amazing in some ways too, you know, but in the end you just couldn't trust them, and so you had to wrap it up.
And I think we can both applaud OP for drawing a boundary and just being like,
that's it. OP, you have a right to draw this boundary. You know, I wish you, for your own good, had drawn it sooner, but I certainly can't speak down from the mountain as somebody who definitely got walked on quite a few times, so I totally get it. AITA for cutting off all communication with my ex-best friend. I think we agree. I'm ready to say not the asshole and your ex-best friend was. It sounds
100%.
like she did a lot of bad shit.
Block it.
Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Over 150 bonus episodes. We got a Discord where we can talk about the situations. You can yell at me. A lot of people like that. Post pictures of ducks, horses. These are the animals I enjoy. Join us. Only $5 a month. It's a great deal. Lots of eppies. All right, guys. Here is Christie to read the next situation. Disclaimer: I am straight, but we've covered this before. I feel like I can offer not awful opinions on this. Here we go.
AITA for not coming out to my best friend. I, 18F, am pansexual. Just for the record, that's when you're attracted to all genders, transgender, non-binary, or other gender identities. I have come out to my sister, but nobody else, as the area I live in tends to be very judgmental. My best friend, 17F, has been my friend since middle school, and we tell each other everything. Recently, I started dating a girl, 18F, in secret. I didn't feel comfortable coming out to my friend since she gossips. So I told her I was single and not interested in anyone. My best friend wasn't going to prom as she and her BF had just broken up, and I wasn't going to either, so I could stay with her and help her through the breakup. She changed her mind because she didn't want to miss out, but then my GF texted and asked me if I wanted to go with her. I told her yes, but I have to be with my friend. When hanging out with her at prom, my GF came up to us and asked me to dance. My friend laughed and said, "So sweet, but she's straight." My GF, who knew I didn't want to come out, said, "No, she's not," and we're dating. She then realized her mistake, apologized, and said she was tired of hiding. I was irritated, but also know it can be hard to have to pretend like we aren't dating. My best friend then got really angry and started screaming at me. She screamed, quote, "How could you not tell me you were gay?" loudly in front of everyone. Then I walked her to the bathroom where she started crying and said she was offended that I lied to her. She claims that with her breakup going on, she doesn't need me lying to her on top of everything else going on. I apologized and offered to take her back out to the dance floor, but she said she was too mad. I was angry too, and then said that I get she was mad, but she didn't have to out me to everyone out there. She called me the asshole and stormed off. I went and danced with my girlfriend, which was so much fun, but I felt bad for not finding my friend and lying to her in the first place. I just didn't feel ready to come out and think I have the right to come out to who and want them. Wait, what? To who I want to when I want to. AITA.
Love this submission. I think we've been down this road a few times, right. And, I actually feel a little validated because I was called on the carpet very fairly for classifying not coming out as lying, which I think is not true. So OP classified themselves as lying, right? They said, and lying to her. I don't think this is lying. It's not lying. Because, it's a heavy thing to drop. It changes your whole life as much as progressive as many people are, as a lot of people aren't. Mm-hmm. And I also just think there's a lot of middle of the road people who don't have like any problem with gay people, but will still say shit that's like really weird.
And the whole point is she said that one of the reasons she's not telling her is because she gossips. So like.
Could it be more valid? Really?
Yeah, couldn't it be more valid, especially where it's like, I don't actually think it's omitting information is lying, particularly when you're not trustworthy.
Yeah.
How could you not tell me your most vulnerable thing? And then, I don't know. Sorry, I obviously was laughing while I was reading it because there was such main character syndrome with this friend.
Yeah.
He was like, how could you do this to me? How could you lie to me? I'm going through a breakup and I don't need this right now. I could imagine that if she wouldn't have been happy.
Wait,
regardless.
Is she going through a break? Oh, she claims that with her breakup going on, she doesn't need me long. Oh my God, I missed that. That is ridiculous.
That's the part where it's like, okay.
That is so ridiculous.
Had she come out, she would have been like, I'm going through a breakup. I don't need you telling me you're happy and gay now. Like basically putting herself in the center of everything. Having said all that, she's 17. So, teens gonna teen. So I think that teens tend to be self-involved in general. Speaking as an 87-year-old woman, I look amazing. You're welcome.
Yeah. Oh, please. What are you, 35? Please.
Please.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I guess I think we have generally given a fair amount of grace to a big reaction at big news. I think that is fair. I think that even though it's not lying, It's not lying. I can understand why someone might have a charged reaction to this.
Yes.
Getting really angry and screaming, it's tough for me to let that fly completely. That's ugly. Why are you angry? Also, that's odd to me. That's an odd reaction.
I'm sure part of it was jealousy. I'm sure part of it was feeling like jealousy, like, oh, I'm going through a breakup and she's happy. That's number one.
Oh, okay.
Number two, I'm sure it is like she felt stupid. Like, sweetie, she's straight. And it's like, actually, you're the dumbass here. And I know more about this woman than you do. And you think she's your friend, but actually, we're together. So there is probably a little bit of like embarrassment there and shock, but still the fact that she made it about her was, disappointing.
It's pretty grotesque. I mean, one of the reasons I thought it'd be okay to cover this is because I've definitely encountered this, with just secrets in general.
Yes.
Just a friend getting mad that I didn't tell him something. And it's like, it's so classic because it's like, well, of course I didn't go to you about this. You're literally mad at me for not telling you something. Like, can you imagine if I shared something emotionally heavy with you? I don't think you have the gloves to handle this.
Right.
And there's just so many reasons that you may or may not tell someone something. Mm-hmm. And it really, I mean, in this case, it seems like it really was about her and her gossipy nature, but it might also just be like, I didn't feel comfortable. And like, I think for some straight people to see her reaction a little bit would have the impulse. I think it's in the water, even though it's not valid. It's in the water, which is that, oh, you're going to like me, right? Like with guys, it's more prevalent. It's like, oh, this gay guy's trying to have sex with me. It's like, no, he's not, dude. He's just gay. That's it. He doesn't like you. Mm. You know what I mean? Like guys are like that.
I didn't even think of that. That's, again, some more main character syndrome of like, I'm the center of the universe. Having said all that, I think like it's absolutely understandable that the 17-year-old would be upset. Just like in that, here's a piece of information I didn't know. I thought we were closer. Yes,
I thought we were best friends. That's what OP said.
I thought we were best friends. And I'm now realizing that there is a disconnect because I thought that our friendship was close enough that there wouldn't be this type of omission, which means that we are not as close or I'm not as trustworthy. That's a hurtful thing to realize, that you think you're on one level with somebody and they're like, actually, I didn't trust you with that.
Exactly. Exactly.
But just because somebody doesn't trust you with something doesn't necessarily mean that's a reflection on your character. I mean, in this case, it was because she gossips, but
and it's still not totally. It's still because it's heavy information and it's a whole lifestyle situation. The parents, I mean, there's a whole myriad of problems that emerge from this. Like, there's good reason. There's a great reason to not come out.
I just want to change the word lifestyle to identity.
Sure. Great.
Before you get called out on the carpet
I'll
again.
be canceled either way.
Ads.
But I think one other angle I have on this, which is like the other thing is you just might not be that person for that person. That was a defining moment for our relationship because we had grown somewhat distant.
You and me?
Yeah, we were still cool. You
always invoke our friendship on this podcast.
Well, it was a big moment for me because when I saw that your father had passed away, and I remembered how you were there for me when I was in a really bad place when I got to LA and I was pouring out on you. And I was like, I'm ready to be here for Christie. I'm ready to deal with whatever emotions. I happened to catch you on a day where you were like giddy. You were in a weird stage of grief where you were giddy. I don't know if you remember that.
No.
You don't remember that?
No.
Yeah, it was right after. You were like giddy. It was very odd.
Giddy?
Giddy. Yeah, you were like very laughy and stuff. And then you were like, I feel bad. I'm like laughing.
The denial stage, probably.
Yeah.
Was it in August? Okay, yeah. I could see there being like I think that that first week, it was definitely like, oh, this is not real. But, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I was happy to be there for you in that capacity, which I didn't know.
And I was giddy.
Yeah,
I was giddy that you were here.
Oh, I'd love to be there for your grieving, as long as it's the giddy phase. Yeah. Once it gets into the heavy phase,
actually, people don't realize there are 6 stages of grief before denial. It's actually giddiness.
Giddy. Yeah, they skipped that one.
Giddiness.
Just straight up hijinks.
Woo, tomfoolery.
Hijinks part.
I'm so glad you caught me for my rapscallion stage of grief.
Yeah, right. But I think it's like, that doesn't necessarily mean that, following that event, you might go through some other heavy thing. I might not be your first person to go to. You might not be mine. It was just like, I wanted to be there for that incident, but like, when I went through all my breakups, I had to rotate friend groups because you tire one out. You know what I mean? Like, don't want to put this baggage on the same 3 people again. Let's find a new group to
a great argument for therapy. Just paying somebody to dump on instead of having to rotate out your friendship groups like mattresses.
Absolutely. I mean, I think both helps though. I mean, I wanted to be there for you for that. So I don't necessarily think it's always like toxic. I think it can become too much for someone and you have to be ready for that, Right. But anyway, suffice to say, I think we're on the same page here.
Yeah.
AITA for not coming out to my best friend. I think we can see some grace here. I think if this friend were to come back and say, hey, I'm really sorry about my reaction. Poorly. I handled that horribly. I freaked out. It was a lot for me. I was in an emotional place. I fucked up. I could no assholes hear this. But as it stands, I think it's a big NTA and she is. Her reaction was not pretty.
You know what actually helped me recently that I heard? You and I are big self-development buffs, and I've been...
Self-development buffs. I don't know if I could say that.
What?
I'm buff about it,
Yeah, like I love self-help shit. I love all the bullshit. I don't care that it's cheesy.
Yeah.
I'll still listen to you.
It helps you, It feels good.
So I was listening to the Mel Robbins podcast, and she was talking about how her parents, like, drew a boundary because she was like, hey, can you guys come for Thanksgiving? And her parents said, thank you so much for the invitation. No, we don't want to travel during the holidays anymore, and we're just going to like draw a boundary. And she was hurt.
Okay.
And basically the idea that you can draw a boundary but also still anticipate people's normal reactions, and it's the easiest way to like communicate your boundary is to anticipate that people are going to have their feelings about the boundary, and it's not your responsibility to like handle their reaction, but it is your responsibility to create a little bit of space for their reaction.
That's
so you
fair.
Can't be like, okay, here's my news, I'm not coming, and I don't even want to hear about it, and don't you dare have feelings about it. It's like, I'm going to create space, and like, I'll hear you out. Yeah, I'm really sorry that you're disappointed. I'm creating space for you to have your feeling about my boundary, but then there's my boundary, and there it is, so that I don't resent you. And I think that something just that this scenario reminded me of is that when you draw a boundary in that I'm not going to share this piece of information, you kind of do it with the knowledge that this person's going to feel some type of way about it. And so when they do have that reaction, I will at least be able to create a little bit of space. Having said that, of course, I don't think that this 17-year-old handled it well, and I'm not saying that the OP did
it wasn't well
wrong.
Handled. She got angry. She screamed. She
OP
made a
did
scene.
Nothing wrong. This
OP
is just a side note of like.
No, I love this.
Yeah,
I love this because it's like it is, and it depends on the person, because sometimes setting a boundary can come off as nuclear to someone. It can really hit them. They don't like it at all. And sometimes it can be, I think the example you gave is more just, that's a rejection. I wouldn't even know if I would call that a boundary.
Yeah,
it's just like
a boundary, a rejection, a denial, anything really.
Yeah.
But just the idea that like the fact that somebody has a reaction to it is not necessarily a rejection of the boundary, and it's not a deal breaker.
Love it.
It just means like they're allowed to have a feeling about it once you tell them. They're allowed to have a feeling about it. So you need to build into your own
anticipate
system that space, create that space.
I think you can also have a boundary on the reaction, but it's expecting there is going to be a negative reaction here.
Exactly. And of course, I'm not saying that like, then that gives people carte blanche to be fucking lunatics when they respond to the boundary. And then also always remembering like, I'm not responsible for your reaction to my boundary.
Yeah, well, I mean, in a sense, though, you're saying you can leave space for it, right?
I leave space for you to have it, but
it's
not my job
to
help you and nurse you through your emotions and make you feel better about the fact that you feel a certain way. I don't have to take that on, but I do create space for it, anticipate it, and say, I understand that you feel that way. I value you. We'll get through this, But I don't need to, like, constantly be biting my nails about how they receive it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for thanking me.
You're welcome.
I'm replacing all I'm sorry's with thank yous.
It's
and
weird,
that is
but I like
power
it. It's
play
better. Yeah,
if I've
better.
ever heard of that. Just trying to get past somebody.
Yeah.
And be like,
thank you. Yeah,
thank you.
It's fucking rude, actually, when you do it that way. Like
you
pushing
know what's funny?
past
Also
thank
saying
you.
like, excuse me. Like, I know that excuse me is really just asking somebody to please be, excuse me. But sometimes people are like, excuse me. And I want to be like, I'm not in your way.
Yeah, go around. Yeah.
I'm not in your way. You're in your way. You put me in your way.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. I don't know.
I was riding my
tangent.
one wheel. You know, I got that crazy one-wheeled scooter. And I was riding on the sidewalk, not going like crazy fast or anything, going at a very reasonable pace. And I seen this gentleman, middle-aged boomer guy. And he just kind of fucking did this thing like as if he was like laying out the red carpet, like, oh, I guess you'll just go. Ooh. And I was like, dude, you could literally keep walking. Like, I'm not even in your path. I don't understand what you're trying to express. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not precariously perched on this. Like, just keep going.
Yeah. He had to make a big song and dance about the fact that you were riding it. I mean, granted, you're not supposed to ride on the sidewalk, but I get it.
That's a joke, though. I get angry when I see bikers on the road. I'm like, you're blocking the road and you're going 12 miles an hour, my man.
Sweetie, you're not supposed to bike on the sidewalk either.
That's what I'm saying, though. Please bike on the sidewalk. That's insane. You're going to get killed and you're going to make traffic. You're going to make it worse for everyone.
That's actually a good segue into our next situation. Is. Because there are some cities that are pedestrian bike cities, like Berkeley.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think there's a huge... You can ride the scooter or bike on the sidewalk like an asshole if you're going 20 miles an hour. Yeah, like you're being insane. Yeah. But if you're going slow and deliberate...
Right.
Please.
And I also think it depends on the city and it depends on where in the city. Like there's certain times where somebody is riding their bike on Wilshire Boulevard. Sure. And I get it because Wilshire is a huge
or like Sunset
thoroughfare.
Here. It's crazy.
Huge thoroughfare. However, in general, rule of thumb, there should be a bike lane. And if there's not a bike lane, you technically are supposed to just be on the road. Having said that, I get it in LA.
In LA, forget about it. Here we go. I think this is in Canada, this next one. AITA for standing up for the way pedestrians are treated in my city. My hubby and I, 22F, 24M, work full time. We had a day off. Day passed. We finally had an opportunity to grab essentials because they were very snowed in, not only for us, but our pets. We don't drive and we don't have access to a car. The money crisis is bad enough. We can't always afford a cab and we got no family to help us out as they live across the province. So we walk everywhere. We live in Canada, and we were hit with a bad storm at around 7 p.m. By early Saturday morning, storm was done, clear skies, roads were cleared, spotless. Problem? Sidewalks not touched, which sucks because there's more people who work full-time, and these major sidewalks are the only way to get there. Not to mention, more people are left choosing between gas or food right now, so they end up needing to walk too, which means we're left with no choice but to walk on these roads and pray douche canoe won't hit us. So hubby and I decided to go out for groceries about 2 p.m. that Saturday. The snow was up to our thighs. Well, my thighs and hubby's knees. He's very tall. Since the people who did the roads tossed all the excess snow on the sidewalks, we ended up on the road. Thankfully, most cars were nice enough to merge lanes. Others would scream at us. But what else were we supposed to do? It's not like we were getting ice cream. We needed food. So I posted this on an FB group, my first mistake. They're like, in this group, the people in my city, I told my story.
There's a Facebook group for the city.
Yeah, there always are.
Cool.
Adding the other horrors that have happened to myself, my hubby, and strangers I've seen trying to cross on these same roads. My hubby was hit by his own coworker on his bike. He also, would have driven away. The coworker had his girlfriend not told him to check up on my hubby. So that's called a hit and run. There's times people want to make left turns and zoom right in front of me, despite the fact that it's my right of way. And I had a few pedestrians agree with me, but others heavily criticize, mostly older people with cars or houses, and told us just buy a car or shut up. Go out and plow the snow yourselves. Plan ahead, which told me they didn't read the whole thing. So I made a claim to the city asking if we can put up these black pylon-looking things on street corners to prevent cars from hitting us. I haven't heard back yet. I'm afraid one day it will either be me, my hubby, or a random stranger that will get hit and killed one day, all because douche canoe couldn't stop at a red light. I don't have a say what goes on in the city. I just thought getting a group together would help bring awareness, but a lot of people were mad at me, AITA.
And this is a submission from a listener.
Yeah.
Okay. Couple things. Number one, it sounds like that coworker had other beef. That it was.
Oh, you think he did it on purpose?
Second of all, have you tried taking the douche canoe and paddling your way through the snow.
Can you use a canoe
aforementioned
on the
douche
snow?
canoe.
Can you ski? This is another idea for you, which is not cheap either.
So there was an historical snowstorm called Snowmageddon in 2009.
Okay.
In D.C. I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time. And we had gotten so many feet of snow. It was like up to the middle of a parking meter. That's how bad it was. And people were taking actual canoes down Connecticut Avenue, like one of the main thoroughfares.
That would work,
Washington,
huh?
D.C. Yeah, people were taking canoes down the street because cars and everything.
Useless.
Yeah, cars were useless. So anyway, just the constant use of the canoe made me think of
douche
that.
Canoe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is big boomer energy. These people being like, just get a car. It's like, well, we would, but we can't.
Why don't you take your fixed income, which I'm sure you have from the government, and buy yourself a car? It's very tone deaf.
Just buy a house. No, we totally would. We totally would if we could. It's really, and so many cities.
Maybe if you stopped eating avocado toast.
Exactly,
you
right?
could afford a car. Yeah, no, you're not
it's
wrong.
That energy.
It's stupid. People should be able to fucking walk.
It's horrible, that all our cities more or less are. It sucks to hear that's similar in Canada, and that's why I don't know if we do disagree exactly, but I would never. If somebody's riding in the sidewalk like an asshole, I would say don't do that. But I think that's ridiculous. If you're on a scooter or something, I know a guy who actually a friend of mine. He's been on the pod, Kyle. He drives his one wheel as a commuter vehicle. That's how he gets to and fro.
So then he should use the bike lane.
No.
But there's no bike lane?
Even if there is a bike lane. Have you seen how people drive here? I'm not going in a bike lane on Sunset Boulevard.
Well, okay, not in Los Angeles. Not in Los Angeles.
Okay,
I'm thinking in Berkeley. It's
a
very bike friendly.
Sure. Well, in New York,
when people
the bike lane has cars, so there's a wall of cars protecting you. You're not exposed.
Yeah.
So go on.
No, that's true. Absolutely. So it depends on the city again, like I said, but in certain circumstances, an avid pedestrian in Berkeley, I did not have a car.
Yeah.
I was like, why are you on the sidewalk? Like every car knows to look. We have so many bike lanes. Every car knows to look for bikes.
Yeah.
It's just very bike and friendly. And so when people were on the roads and just going out, I was very annoyed when people wouldn't respect pedestrians. However, then you go to LA and there is no culture of looking out for pedestrians or bikes the way that
I swear they try to hit you.
Yeah. There's no, it's kind of like just the way everyone in Berkeley will just stop and be like, oh, a pedestrian or oh, a bike, and all the drivers are very respectful of that, or in general they are. LA, it's the opposite. It's cars have the right of way and you're fucked if you're not in a car. And so, I agree. I think it sucks. I would have expected better from Canada. I'm sad.
Yeah, that's true. Bucking the Canadian stereotype. What a shame.
Yeah.
Sad. Yeah, I think a lot of people just don't understand. We're not being broke to fuck with you. We just gotta. This is our only way to do this. It's not at you.
Right. It's so funny how people are personally offended by other people's poverty.
Well, yeah, and I think in general too, people are angry driving, and this is why I always try to leave early, because if I'm not in a rush, I'm super mellow. I'm go, pass, bro. You want to pass, baby.
100%.
Pass all you want, But people are so aggressive. They're in a rush. They're angry. It's dangerous.
And the nicer the neighborhood, the worse they get.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Beverly Hills.
I was in Beverly Hills the other day,
yeah.
And boy, oh boy, I was trying to get into a lane, and people just kept zooming by, and they're all old white people in very nice cars, and then they not just didn't let me in, but then did one of these, I'm gonna stare at you as I pass you, the audacity that you tried to get in my lane and patiently wait. And I was just like, all right, whatever. I understand you're in a rush, sir. You're going to die very soon.
Right. Yeah,
you're 900 years old. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So sorry. That always makes me feel better, as being Egyptian... he'll die soon.
Yeah. He's been around. He's the one who, brought it into the British Museum.
When I was in college, there was an old professor. He was 93. And one time, he never let anyone, even if it was 1 minute after he started the lecture, he would never let you in.
Oh, God.
He was one of those people. And one time somebody walked through his lecture from one door to the other just as a shortcut. It wasn't even in the class. And he was like, excuse me. And the guy just kept going. And then we thought he was going to explode. And all of a sudden he just goes, God will punish him. And ever since then, that was like in 2007. Ever since then, I was like, I think that all the time. And my mom and I say that to people. And we're like, God will punish him. God will punish him. We don't need to worry about it.
Yeah. Love that. God will punish these Canadian drivers. AITA for standing up for the way pedestrians are treated in my city. Big fuck no, you're the hero. I think it sucks. I think Americans, we've kind of got like this car culture, but like being able to walk around a place is one of the great joys of life.
One of the great joys of life.
That's why the Lord gave us legs and feet to go down.
Yeah. And when I saw one set of footprints in the snow, it was then that Jesus carried me and flipped all the drivers off.
As is said, thanks for submitting, OP. And guys, thank you for listening. And Christy, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. I always love being here.
Any plugs?
I am going to, I mean, by the time this airs, it will...
we'll follow you on Instagram.
Yeah, follow me on Instagram at Autobahna, AUTOBAHNA. Not auto as in the car.
Right.
We're very, it's more
no, it is auto as in the car.
I mean, Autobahn.
It's an Autobahn
play on Autobahn, which is the German thoroughfare.
Yeah.
Which I think one can walk on, right? I don't know. Does it have a pedestrian thing? I don't know.
That sounds
Let's edit this out. Thanks for having me.
Love you guys. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.